Hey guys, in this review, we're checking out the Nutricook Steamy. This is an 11-in-1 convection air fryer that also, as the name implies, steams. Nutricook sent me this oven for review, but as always, this will be my honest and unbiased opinion. I ran this oven through a bunch of tests and was actually surprised by the effects the steam had on my cooks. So is the Nutricook Steamy a good option for those wanting to expand into the world of steam? Let's find out. First off, the oven comes with a stainless steel rack, pan, and air fry basket. It's a relatively compact 1600 watt unit, and it has a decent sized cord length, about 42 inches. The opening is 14.5 inches wide by 7.25 inch high. It's a little deceiving looking at it because you think it should be larger, but the fan is enclosed in the top. On units like this, the fan is either off the back taking up space or on the top. This unit fits comfortably underneath a cabinet when not in use. But when in use, you need 4 inches of clearance on all sides and 11.8 inches above. The Steamy has a 1.05 quart water tank for the steam, and they recommend using distilled water to prevent mineral deposit buildup in this oven. This port connects to this port underneath the oven and sprays water into the evaporating plate during the cook. This unit has nice padded feet on the bottom that prevents slippage. I'm always a big fan of that on countertop appliances. What I'm not a big fan of is all the beeps every time you touch a dial or change the settings. I really wish appliances would come with a mute button. I found the user interface to be a bit clunky, not as responsive as I'd like. You have to use the dial to navigate to each preset. However, you can select these options with a touch. Okay, let's get to cooking. St. Patty's Day is coming up, so I'm making corned beef and cabbage. I thought this was the perfect test because traditionally, you cook corned beef slowly with water in a crock pot or a similar method. For this cook, I'm using the steam bake setting, which produces steam throughout the cook. I'm using my TiferSync Gold thermometer to capture data during the cook. I have the oven set to 250 degrees Fahrenheit for low and slow, and unfortunately, the longest time you can set it to is 60 minutes. In my opinion, the minimum should be at least 4 hours, so I'll have to come back and reset the time. You can see in the Tifer app we have a nice constant temp of 239 degrees Fahrenheit. Not quite 250, but these always read a little lower than what all my appliances are set to. I was shocked at how fast this roughly 4-pound corned beef brisket cooked. It got to 205 in just under 2 hours. In that roughly 1 hour and 54 minutes, it used just about half the tank of water. Usually I cook these all day in the crock pot. I wrap this up and let it rest while I cook the vegetables. I'm steam roasting some potatoes, cabbage, and carrots in the residual corned beef juice. On the steam roast setting, it's using steam for the first half of the cook, then switches over to roasting with the top burner and no steam. So with this setting, you kind of have to have an idea of the time because it's relying on that timer to switch over from steam to roast. You can see here it did a great job cooking these vegetables, and I've got some nice char on the cabbage. This trio of cabbage, potatoes, and carrots came out great. And the corned beef was on another level. Firm but tender, it sliced up great and tasted amazing. This was definitely an improvement over the crockpot method for me. For my next test, I am steam baking sourdough bread, and I'm running a comparison in a similar sized oven that does not have steam. On this test, I noticed the top was getting nice and brown before the rest of the bread was done. This is what both breads looked like at the same time in temp. The darker with steam and the lighter without. Neither was done cooking as this was roughly 20 minutes into the bake. We took the steam bread out of the pan and put some tin foil over the top. I had to tuck it under the bread because the fan in the oven was causing the tin foil to float around. Both of these breads baked for about 46 minutes, and the one that cooked in the Steamy had a noticeably darker top and lighter bottom than the one that cooked in the pan in the other oven without steam. Upon our taste test, we all agreed the Steamy bread had a crispier outer texture and similar soft interior. The Steamy bread was preferred over the other bread by everyone that tried it. For my next test, I'm making pizza in the same two ovens. I'm using 12-inch pizza screens so the steam can get to the bottom of the pizza. For this test, I am steam baking at the highest temp of 450 degrees, and this pizza screen just barely fits. If it was any larger, the door would definitely not close. The finished pizzas look very similar in appearance, and don't do what I did. I forgot to grease the unseasoned pizza screen, and the dough stuck to it, so I couldn't get it off the one that cooked in the Steamy. But I was able to rip some crust off for the taste test, and as is with the bread, the crust of the pizza was slightly crispier than the one cooked in another oven without steam. I made another pizza on the bake setting without steam, and concluded this oven doesn't have quite enough bottom heat to make a good pizza. The top definitely outcooked the bottom. This time I greased the pizza screen and it came off like butter. For my next test, I made some pizza bread using some overproofed jalapeno dough I picked up from Aldi. I'm also baking another loaf in the other oven without steam. You can see here the very noticeable difference the steam has on the bread. Even though these two loaves were baked at the same temp and time, the bread baked with steam is much darker and has a much crispier exterior. Listen to this difference. The bread cooked with steam was preferable in taste to all that tried it. For my last test, chicken wings with the air fry setting and no steam. I'm trying a new seasoning, Kinder's Cowboy Butter. I fit 20 wings in this air fry basket. That's a respectable amount. I went till they looked nice and crisp, and that was about 42 minutes, and I could have pulled these wings way sooner, but we like ours very well done. These were very good, and I'm happy to report the air fry setting works great. So in conclusion, I like the Steamy, and I can get over the annoying beeps and limited cooking time of 60 minutes, because in the end, the steam did enhance my cooks with the bread, the corned beef, and the roasted vegetables. I would say if you're in the market for a convection oven that steams, this is a solid buy and works well. That's it for this review. We hope you enjoyed it. God bless, and we'll see you on the next one.